Urban Media Today talks sports with Ray Porter Jr., Vince Butts, and Trevin A. Jones on Urban Media Today Radio.
It's game time! Urban Media Today talks sports. We got Ray Porter Jr. I don't know why I always say his name that way, but I do. We got Keith Platt Jr., Coach Greg Hoy Jr., Coach Larry Scott Jr., the head coach of Howard University football. My man Derek Bryant's on the show as well. Man, we're talking HBCU football. We're going to talk about the impact of COVID-19. We're going to talk about recruiting. We're going to talk about Coach, the MEAC, earlier this week on Thursday, they announced that the all fall sports are going to be postponed. Weigh in on it, Coach.
Well, I'll tell you what, in the human element of why we do what we do, right? The challenge is that of really good football coaches always bring it back home and always, ask yourself, why do we do what we do? Well, we do it to make sure we impacting young men's lives. And when we're talking about lives, we're talking about, obviously the first and foremost, the health and safety and the welfare of their lives. It's something that right now in the climate of our country with this disease and this virus and what it's doing and spiraling out of control, and we don't know what it's doing, and then it having the effects on a very disparate group of people of skin, of color, that looks like us. I think it was very important. I thought it was a great move by our leadership of our conference and our presidents to actually step out and say, at the end of the day, with us not really having a fix on this thing and not really knowing what's going on, that we protect lives. And as a coach, that's the number one thing we talk about, right? Impacting lives. And sometimes that means to sit back. I sent out a tweet today that just said, you know what, I made a baseball analogy. I played so much baseball coming up through high school that sometimes you got to know the curveball's coming, right, in life, and you don't know when it's coming. And when you see it, you just have to sit back on it and focus and have faith and swing and knock it out of the park. And that's what we're going to do right now. We're just going to sit back and let this thing sort its way out, and our leaders and our administration make the very best decisions that they can. And we all fall in line and follow suit and protect our young people because they're our most valuable asset in everything that we do, from academics, to athletics. That's the number one thing, and that's what we're doing right now. And we're going to put together a great program and those things, and programming outside of that. And that's what it causes you to do as a really good football coach, is to reach back, right? Take off the X and O hat and put on the mentor hat, put on the father hat. Stand beside these young men, mentor them, lead them, guide them during this time. Show them that you're right there with them, hand in hand. Be very, very involved with their parents and all of this stuff during a tough time for their parents and stuff, with them being at home and trying to navigate their way through all of those things. So it's just a different time, and that's why they call you coach, right? Put on a different hat, slide it to the side, pivot the other way, do whatever you need to do to make sure we're still reaching these young men to teach them, and it's just another facet of our job that's going to come into fruition for us that we got to go execute.
Wow, and I'll hog the whole interview, Coach. So I'll open it up to the fellas, because I know they want to jump in too. Yes, I'm gonna leave it with this real quick. The impact that this season would have been your first season at Howard. New environment, new everything when it comes to recruiting, comes to the players that you're meeting, comes to the new players that you have coming in. How do you handle it right now? And knowing that the season is going to be suspended, it actually does it really give you a whole year to prepare?
Yeah, you know what? I think at the end of the day, that's the beautiful part of it. You got to find a silver lining, right? In it all. A, we're keeping them safe, we're keeping them healthy. B, we need to get them back to being just students as quickly as we can, because that needs to be their normal. They need to understand that that's your normal, okay? Is to have an opportunity to educate yourself and then receive a degree from the University of Howard is your normal. And being a part of and having athletics to help be a vehicle and a tool for that is just an extra benefit of being a Howard student athlete. So how we do it is we strap on our big boy pants and go to work and be fathers, be mentors, be educators. Because as a coach, you're an educator first. You're not just a guy that blows the whistle and point at a cone or point at a line and say, run to that, touch that, come back, or execute this play. No, we're educators. We're teachers. We're building men. first and foremost. And that's one of the main philosophies of our program. Far before we ever step in between the white lines, we're already going to have a mentality that we've won. So it's not a matter of fact of when, are we going to win? It's just when we're going to win. I don't care if we blow some out early in the game, or it's the last play of the game, of the last minute, which I've kind of been synonymous with being a head coach, is finding a way to win it with seconds left on the clock. We're going to find a way to win it. And that's when you're building winners. That's when you're building people that have a great handle on what life is. And when you do that, they walk out on the field and they expect it. And that's the kind of product we wanted to build at Howard. Howard has a great brand. And it's a brand that's synonymous with excellence across the board. And when you start to breed that into these young people who have an opportunity to get an education and play athletics at Howard, you breathe life into them. You breathe the aspect that, at the end of the day, we're going to find a way to be successful. We're going to find a way to not always be perfect, but catch a hell of a lot of excellence in that journey towards being perfect. And that will handle winning games. I've never been a football coach that worried about winning the game. I've been a football coach that was always been concerned and wrapped in winning the day and raising and elevating the people. And when you do that, you don't worry about winning football games. Winning football games is a byproduct of that, and it happens. And people wonder why it happens, and there's no magic formula. It's the Sunday through, Friday, Sunday through Saturday challenge of challenging people to do little things, detailed things at a very competitive nature in a very competitive way to build a winning mentality and attitude and expecting to win in everything that they do, whether that's playing football games or being really good, fathers, husbands, and all of those things. So we're raising men in our program, and that's what it's all about.
Man, Coach, man, you got watch that deal with the mic, man. Next thing you have a pulpit in front of him, man. He got rolling, man. Information. He got some information.
Truly.
But Coach, so I'm here in California. Trev, all those guys are in Philly, so we're national. This is a national program, so we really want to kind of let our listeners and the viewers also kind of know about your staff, where guys are recruiting, and what would you want to tell a parent that's at a private school in Texas that's has a 6'5" offensive lineman that's maybe debating whether to go to a PWI or whether to come to Howard. Talk about the coaches that you have. What do you want to tell these the alumni? Let's talk a little bit about your recruiting aspect coming from SEC football, where you had this increased budget and assistants and all these different people working around you. Let's talk about that. First and foremost, talk about your staff. Who's recruiting what parts of the country and who they are.
Well, first of all, again, it goes back to the brand. I wouldn't have chosen this job if it didn't have the brand where we could reach the masses, so to speak, and have a powerful enough brand behind us when we walk into these schools and say the word Howard out of our mouths, where we get a certain attention from people. And so, with that, when I first took the job, I knew I wanted to do two things. I wanted to surround myself with experience, guys that are like thinkers, that are in what I feel like in the business for all of the right reasons, right? At the end of the day, it's to impact people. So when I really sat down to do it, I was very fortunate to some of the relationships that I've built in my time in college football with men that I think see it the way that I do, and they've always been really, really good recruiters because they were really, really good developers of people. And typically, people don't remember the words that you say or what you did. What they remember is how you make them feel. And all of these people that I've ever been around made me feel a certain type of way, and they've been around and I've watched them mentor and guide and teach and coach other young people to have that feeling of when they walk away, how they make them feel. And then I also wanted to make sure that with that they had the experience and just the compass mind of thinking that we can expand, where we are and where we need to go recruit. And the people that we needed to reach to continue to sell the brand that is Howard. Because I know it can reach from the West Coast through the Midwest, on the East Coast. It can go everywhere. And at the end of the day, we wanted to make sure that I had guys that had the experience, that understood that, but also had the relational skills and those things to tie why Howard and why Howard now to where we're going. Not where we've been, not everything that Howard's been through, but because of they talk in the room and they earn some credibility because of their experiences and the places that they've been and who they coach. but why they chose Howard, to be able to emphatically give that story to people that were selling Howard too. So when you look at I'll start on the offensive side of the ball. When you have a guy like Coach Lee Hole, who's coached at Maryland, who's coached in the National Football League, who's a head coach at Morgan State, coached at Oregon State, he knows the league, he knows the landscape, he knows what it looks like. You know, he's also a father of a son who plays at Lafayette and a daughter who's a really good, AAU basketball player right now, and just recently this week was offered at Purdue and Michigan and places like that. So they get it. They know what it's all about in those things. And then, our offensive line coach, Chris Sweet, who's worked in this league before, but who's been around pros. He's coached for 10 to 12 years in the Canadian Football League, and he's been around men and pros, especially in a league like Canada, where guys are still discovering themselves. They're still figuring out how to become pros. And so you have to do a really good job of reaching people right where they are to help them go where they want to go. So having the chance to hire him and bring him in as our offensive line coach was tremendous. Our co-offensive coordinator and tight end coach, Brett Beachler, who was around me at the University of Florida, who knows the system and offensive scheme that I want to employ, who knows the kind of the recruiting machine, so to speak, that I want to be and that we're going to employ, even at Howard University. He understands what it's all about. It was important for me to have somebody who just knew that. And then to have a young man like Lindsey Lamar, who's our wide receiver coach, who at a time where University of South Florida was just going into being Division I, and I had just turned over to be a full-time football coach, I recruited out of Hillsborough High School, who turned down the University of South Carolina and other Power 5 opportunities to be at the University of South Florida, to come with me, that I had a chance to coach, mentor, be around, and watch grow into the tremendous father, coach, husband, and all of those things that he is right now, to be a part of that can reach the Florida area from a recruiting standpoint and impact it that way, was really important to me. And then to keep Davon Johnson, who has that Howard blood flowing through his veins. It's always important to keep some of those guys that stay on ice. And he's one of those type of guys that loves Howard, is passionate about Howard, passionate about seeing it be successful, who jumped right in with both feet, and has been a tremendous asset to our program and our organization because of the passion and love that he has for it. Was awesome for me. But I'm just talking about the staff right now. We'll talk about recruiting areas. And then I had a chance to, on defense, really employ a very, since I'm going to be heavily involved with the offense, we were able to hire a little bit young on that side of the ball, but very, very good and fast risers and stars in this business that I believe. And then put some really, really experienced seasoned coaches on the defensive side of the ball, which as an offensive coach, what you want to really be able to play is give me the ball back and play really good on defense. Being able to have a guy like Troy Douglas, who I work with at South Florida BIDC, that's worked with Nick Saban at Michigan State, that's been around the game for so long and coached in Indiana and a lot of places at North Carolina with Bush Davis and those places, to have him be able to come in with his wealth of experience that could connect into the Carolina areas and the Jacksonville area was really huge for us in recruiting. And then to be able to hire a guy like Vernon Hargraves, whose son is, a corner for the Texans, and coached down in Miami, was a part of the 01 National Championship team, worked with me at South Florida and been coaching college football for over 20 years, that can recruit the Midwest, being his time at Arkansas and at Missouri and at the University of Miami. But just an experienced guy that we can drop off anywhere, has man through a helicopter, and he can go get him and bring him in here and sell the brand that is Howard because of his experience and where he's been and what he's done was tremendous. And then to be able to bring in a guy like Warren Beelan, who's coach, for the Carolina Panthers, and Luke Kuechly drafted and coached him and made him an All-Pro at the Carolina Panthers, and then coach at Georgia and Vanderbilt, and James Madison, that's another guy from the Carolinas, but that's really, really seasoned and experienced and been around. And then to hang on to a guy that loves Howard football like Aaron Kelton, who was here as a football operations guy that kind of got moved into an interim role, that really got into the delve and knows kind of the system of how to navigate through for bringing in incoming freshmen and those type of things in recruiting. Was big. And then to bring my son with me as a quality control guy and put some really good young fast risers. But it was important that I put the dynamics together like that of youth and experience and passion and charisma, because that is recruiting. And at the end of the day, you can put those people and those chips to that puzzle and drop them off in any part of the country, and they'd be able to go in and sell the brand that is Howard, because Howard represents itself as a powerful brand. But then to have the experience and the passion and the energy that comes with the young people or the really seasoned, experienced people is really big. And I think, when you really look at the geographical measures of that these people are able to reach, it's across the board. They've all done it, and they've all done it in every area of this country. And so have I. I've been very, very fortunate to be at the University of Miami, Tennessee, but I was always a person that took the lead recruitment of the top prospects that we had. I would be on planes in every region of the country going to bring them back as our lead recruiter and top recruiter on our staffs during that time. So I think at the end of the day, recruiting is a people business. And when you hire people that have a really good feel for people and can sell vision and are a part of the vision and have passion and have energy about it, you can sell a snow Eskimo. You can sell snow to an Eskimo. So at the end of the day, just putting the right people and having them with us with the right brand is going to be a great score for us in recruiting. You can see that's what's going on with us right now, even during the pandemic. We're sitting today where we scored 4 commitments yesterday in one day, and then we're sitting here at 15 commitments during a pandemic and have the number one, recruiting class in the MEAC and probably the number one class in all of FCS right now as an HBCU during a pandemic because of the machine that we've created in recruiting and the way we're doing things and the way we attacked it from March to where we are now. We had a plan. We executed the plan. We all dived into it. We built relationships, and we want to make it hard for these kids to tell us no here at Howard University.
And I'm an old man, coach, and I couldn't tell you no. I wish I was 18 again. I'd be like, suit me up, coach. I'm ready to go, man. And that's real talk. It's Urban Media Today Talk Sports. We're going to take a real quick break. It's halftime. We play a full game here. That's the end of the second quarter. Coach Larry Scott, Howard University head football coach, our guest. We also have Derek Bryan along, media relations with Howard University. And we're going to take a quick break and come right back after this timeout.
Urban Media Today is your source for entertainment, news, sports, and lifestyle. It's your online resource for health and fitness, providing tips to decrease your heart disease or increase your good spirits. When you can't find who made the top picks in HBCU sports or what part of the country is most exciting or affordable to travel with the entire family, Urban Media Today is there to provide you with all that you need and just a click away. Log on to urbanmediatoday.com now. Find us on social media. Urban Media Today, your lifestyle information and blog website.